Good evening, everyone. Welcome. This is the Hingham Historic Districts Commission. Thank you all for coming. It is Thursday, September 13th, 2018. I'd like to call the meeting to order. First piece of business would be voting members tonight. We have Ronnie, myself, Virginia, and Mike, who are existing voting members, and I'll need a fifth. If Ben, if you would like to do that for this evening, that would be very helpful. Okay. All right, so we'll have 5 voting members. Second of all, if there are any conflicts, anybody like to recuse himself for any of the proceedings tonight, we could talk about that, or if you want to discuss any conflicts that people have. Good? Okay, all right. With that, let's start off with 37 Lincoln Street. This is the Kass residence. This is for the replacement of some windows on the front and to the side of the building. Dave, would you like to come up and speak into the microphone and talk a little about the project? And thanks again for coming tonight. We appreciate it.
Let me show you what they all have. They have
Yeah.
the applications, they've got pictures of the house and this.
Gotcha.
Okay?
So I'm trying to help I'm a contractor. I'm trying to help the Kasses out, replacing the front and the side, and there's another mirror image of this on the back side. They're totally gone now. They're single pane, 7/8 bar on them, and we're just trying to start the process on replacing them. In a perfect world, they'd like to take the one on the side as a triple door like this. They'd like to shorten that to double hungs, 2 double hung windows there. There's just a lot of glass in the room. It's extremely cold in the wintertime.
Okay. The application says right side of house has a room stepped back from the main house.
Correct.
We would like to replace the windows and, if possible, change the right side door unit to a triple double hung.
Correct.
So right now it is a door
Yes.
that it's not functional? Or
No.
It just shut all the time?
It's shut all the time. It's got a glass panel in front of it.
Okay. Triple double hung. Is there any change in the opening size for the front or to the right?
No,
Once you do the work?
we've had a window guy look at it. We can get units that look exactly like them. We either get them in a single pane like they have, or I did one on 974 Main Street where they did the Marvin Ultimates with the 5/8 bar. That was approved. The architect got it approved, but we'd ideally like to use those units. I have a sample of it that I could get to you.
Other questions, comments?
Yeah, I have some questions. The Marvin Ultimate, that's an all-wood unit?
Yes.
Okay. What were you thinking, in terms of the windows on the right-hand side, were you going to, did you have a size in mind?
Leaving the width, just bringing it up, so there's a couch there now. They would just bring
Okay.
it up above couch out.
So in the front of the house, you've got 6/6s, similar size to those?
Yes, trying to maintain the existing opening, so
Right.
yes.
Right, okay, so, but in the height?
Yes.
Okay. And then the window in the front, it looks, I think there's something flanking, it
Yes,
looks like a box
there's
bay?
like 1-foot flankers on either side of it.
Okay.
Those would match exactly.
You would keep the light pattern and?
Yes.
All wood?
All wood.
Okay.
And is all the trim that surrounds that bay staying, or are you replacing that?
We would replace, it's all gone, it's all rotten. We would replace it with wood.
Any sense of when the work was done originally?
I don't know, this addition doesn't seem, it's a poured concrete foundation. I'm guessing 70s maybe, but I really don't know.
Yeah, the Form B says 1979, I think.
Does it?
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Go ahead,
Mr.
please.
Chair. Again, the units on this side, are those, is your intent to have a mull post? Would it be tight mull?
We could do it whatever way you want. I was looking for a little direction on that one, you know?
Okay. Typically, we look for a mull post because a tight mull is not historically accurate.
Okay, we can certainly do that.
And what you have there is, it's hard to say what you'll end up with in terms of size. Perhaps a 4/4, a series of 4/4s?
I would think
If you're
so,
going to do
yes.
3?
I would think probably yes.
Would they be that short?
They would be, well, they got the 6/6s in the front. We could make them the same height as those. They would be narrower, I believe.
Would that accommodate the couch?
It would be better than the situation it's in now. I can get you some information on that. I didn't know if it was going to be approved or not, but
Yeah.
we can pick a window, put a stud pocket in it, and
Right.
get it back to you.
I mean, if the clapboard exposure is roughly 4 inches, it looks like you may be around 64 to 68 inches tall on the windows.
Yep.
I guess, I'd like to see a picture of what you're going to be placing in that opening.
Okay.
Because you may find that a triple does not work, and you can go, and you'll have to switch to a double in order to get the mull post and
Okay.
the stud pocket.
I can certainly get it for you.
I have no further questions.
Ben, let me ask you, I think we could go one of two ways. We could ask for, a picture and some more, detail on this, or you could potentially kind of call out in terms of the recommendation, what you're looking for exactly, or is there too much variation to kind of?
No, I feel comfortable proceeding, but it would just be with the caveat that we need to see a picture. I'm not necessarily another meeting, but
Okay.
something submitted to Andrea so we can see it.
Okay.
I can get that. I have complete cut sheets on the front and the flankers and everything, so I can get you that.
Do you think you would be able to specify in a motion what you're looking for, what you're hoping to match with the main house?
For the side windows?
Yeah, with the side windows
Yeah, I think I
and for
could.
the front, so we have some room to work with, and then they could go out, and if there's a change, they can come back to us. If not, they can show us the pictures, and we can all take a look, and this looks okay.
I think that can be done in a motion.
Okay. What do you think about that, Mike?
Yeah, no, I'm agreement.
How do you guys feel about it?
That makes sense.
All right. Is it open now by any chance? Are the windows popped out? Are they still there? Is it just?
No, the windows are there. The big units in the front and the flankers are a fixed window. They don't open. So the only ones that would be opening in the room would be the ones on the side.
Yeah.
So,
The one thing I'm not clear of about, Dave, is that you're looking for simulated,
well, I mean,
divided like,
in an ideal world, but
I think we, since this is not new work here, and this is on the front of the house, I think we'd probably say a true divided light with the front.
Facing the front and on the sides?
On the side, is it a simulated divided light window now, or is it?
it's a single pane
Yeah.
with a pretty large bar. The bar is
Yeah.
7/8 or an inch thick now.
So this is from 19, did we say 79?
79.
Yeah, I feel like the addition is kind of, is newer.
Yeah. I would feel comfortable with a simulated divided light. We can get the mutton bars smaller as a result to match the main volume. Whereas something this large in a true divided light, the mutton bars are going to be rather large.
On the front?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's a good point.
And it would be an all-wood unit.
Was there a piece of plexiglass or anything on top? How
There
was
is
this?
on the side one, but there isn't on the other units.
So it was a single pane, just?
They're single pane,
That's it?
they have it set up as a living room or a
Okay.
family room, but it's so cold in the wintertime, they can hardly use it.
And you think the front is a 7/8 mutton now?
Yes.
Is that a poured foundation?
Yes.
Even for the box, the bump out, the box bay? It's not a cantilever?
I believe so, yes.
Virginia, you okay with this direction we're heading towards? Okay. With an SDL? Okay. All right. So I guess, Ben, if you want to make a motion, if you don't have any other questions, that'd be very helpful. Call out what you're looking for.
Okay.
With the caveat that we're going to get some additional photos and some, I guess, sketches of what the window is going to look like, this Marvin window, and how it's going to be framed out, so we can review.
Sure, okay.
And the, size of the glass, the mutton size.
Right, okay. Okay, I'd like to make
Deal.
a motion for a certificate of appropriateness for 37 Lincoln Street. Windows facing the front in the right-hand side addition, a picture unit, grill, number of lights to match, both on the flanking units as well as the facing picture unit, all wood construction, simulated divided light, 5/8 mutton bar, trim to be replaced like kind in wood. And then on the right-hand side of the right-hand addition, removal of the fixed door units, the triple fixed door units, replacing with double hungs, staying within the existing rough opening. Double hungs, either a triple unit with stud pocket or a double unit with stud pocket, simulated divided light, 5/8 mutton, all wood construction. Designed to be submitted to Andrea. Pending final approval?
Yes. Anybody like the second? Second, Bonnie will second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, good.
All set?
Yep.
Thank you
You're
very
all
much.
set.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you.
Okay. We've got about 5 minutes. Not to put you on the spot,
Virginia.
Virginia. But I know you have we have a
we're-
special event coming up in town with the other house tour, so do you want to give us, if you have the date and how you sign up and the specifics
Do you
on
want
that?
to hold one of these up?
Pardon?
Shall I hold one of these up?
Oh,
Show and
great.
tell? Or would you like to do that?
That'd be great.
So the 94th house tour is going to be September 30th from the Hingham Historical Society. It's one of the oldest house tours in the country, if not the oldest. It's from 11 to 5, and there's approximately 6 homes on the tour this year. And the Old Ordinary is on, Old Ship, Old Derby.
Second Parish.
Pardon?
Second Parish.
Second Parish. Tickets are available at a number of locations in town, but also for the first time this year online. So it's an efficient way to get tickets, and please come. It's an exciting group of homes.
Terrific. Thank you.
Great.
It goes to a great cause.
Can you tell me
too.
what the cost of the tickets? No. Because you get them free.
Money, such a small detail.
I'm sorry.
I think it's $30.
Okay.
And on the day
And
of
well
the tour,
worth
I think
it.
it's 40.
And well worth it, having gone for many years in a
it's
row.
always well attended.
It's always
Yeah.
well attended and a lovely event.
And may I just take the liberty to mention another endeavor of the Historical Society is we're sponsoring a 7-part lecture series this year, one a month, a program every month. It's the Spirit of Enterprise in New England, with different lectures on whaling, cranberries. There'll be a culinary event at Plymouth Plantation, which is a taste of two cultures, colonial and Native American. So it's on either on a Saturday or Sunday every month, and we're looking forward to that too. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
well, thank you.
All right. Good. So, moving right along, let's get back to the applications. We have 53 Fearing Road. This is the Fopiano residence. There is a plan that you have in your packet to, for an addition to the rear of the house and some modifications to the right side. So, hopefully they're here. All right. Well, let's give them a couple minutes.
Yep.
And then I can put Ben on the spot.
Yeah, you could.
I'm going to need some help.
Okay, that's fine.
So Ben and Andrea are working on a award for historic preservation. I think that's been going on for about half a year now. We started.
No, not that long. We've
Okay.
been cranking this out.
Yep.
Six meetings, 7 meetings?
Okay, so a bunch of meetings. You want to give us an update on your progress there and what we should look forward to?
So Selectman Healy has a great idea to create awareness, more awareness in town, our town's history, for anyone and everyone to participate. It's not necessarily for historic homes. It can be for those that have spent a lifetime researching the history of the town, or, so there's an award that we're working on, potentially to be given annually. And we've got a design for the plaque, and help me out, Andrew.
Yeah, sure. There are a number of categories, so that the maximum amount of people can apply, actually. So it's new construction would be additions, sensitive addition. It might be infill construction somewhere. We also have an award for landscape and archaeology. There's another award for rehabilitation and or adaptive reuse.
Right, lifetime stewardship.
Lifetime stewardship, and we've got a number of homes that would qualify for that. And also their individuals can also be nominated for the work that they've done toward historic preservation. Whatever their activities have been, and there are just a lot of people that we can thank with an award for having the town the way it is. So we are going to present to the selectmen. This is a group of, I think, 7 or 8 of us. Ben represents the Historic Districts Commission, Elizabeth Dings from the Historical Commission. We have Sevi, who you see tonight, is on that committee as well. And Joan Brancali, who's brilliant and a great artist, has designed a lovely plaque, which will be revealed at the Selectmen's meeting on the 25th. And the idea being that this award will be recognizable. And so it's something that I think hopefully people will be interested in, because there are a lot of people who deserve something like that. So,
So the thought was this award, perhaps someone would put it on their house as a sense of pride, and that would create some awareness, and it'd be a recognizable symbol. What Joan and the group are working on now is the actual design of the plaque. I think we've narrowed it down. And really, it's just for people to understand just how important it is to maintain our history, to create awareness of our history, and a sense of pride.
So it's not the sort of plaque where names get engraved every year, it's a plaque that's actually given? and
It's
the thought
actually
being
given.
It could be
Put it right
displayed.
on your house, on the corner board, or if in fact that's where you so choose
Yeah.
to put it.
there are many, it's amazing, once we started to do research, how many cities and towns and in the country actually have preservation awards, and some of them are very well supported by various organizations. And most notably, I think, the Savannah, Georgia was an inspiration. They have they're one of the earliest historic districts in Charleston, South Carolina. So, and then there are other places like Bozeman, Montana. And,
Worcester is starting something?
Yeah, Worcester is starting an award.
Chatham, on Cape?
Yep. But you could go to almost a lot of cities have them. So anyway, enough is enough.
You think there'll be a presentation or a?
We are going to present to the Board of Selectmen on the 25th.
That's a Tuesday?
That's a Tuesday night.
So a week from this Tuesday, this coming Tuesday.
But the actual award, how will that be given out?
We will have an awards ceremony at a location to be determined, and
At the home?
no, because there'll be a number of recipients, so we
Okay.
would want that to be somewhere, some venue that
Yeah.
is supported by the town in a lot of ways. I mean, for example, we have a lot of buildings like the New North Church or the Second Parish, or the Heritage Museum or the Ames Chapel. There are a number of buildings that have received either or Greenbush funds and CPC funds, and so it would be nice to use those venues as well.
And this is an award given out by the town. It's not sponsored
Thank
by
you.
the Historic Commission or Districts Commission or
It's a
the
town,
Heritage Museum, or any of that.
It's a town award.
Town award.
so,
And how does the recipient, how do they get selected?
well, we have, there will be a call for nominations, and you can self-nominate, or someone can nominate you, and there is a nomination form, and there will be, and the judging criteria, the evaluation criteria are all listed, so that, you know, what and the criteria apply in to various degrees, whatever category the award is in. So, we're trying to make it as wide-ranging as possible so that people can participate, so.
And there's one award a year, there's not an award in each category that you
There
mentioned?
could be an award in each category. So there could be up to 7 awards in a given year. So.
Great
Okay.
idea. Thank
That
you
was
for doing that.
That was Selectman Healy's idea, so we're marching to the tune. So if Mr. Fopiano is not here, I do believe we can go ahead with 6 Station Street.
So we still have
279.
279.
279, but they're not here till, do you want me to try and call Mr. Fopiano?
So we had, I think there may be a lot of interest in
Time is 279 on.
6 Station Street following, so I want to make sure that people are able to listen. That's the only thing.
Well-
Is Monica here?
We can't take her because she's, that's the problem. We can't take Monica because she is on the agenda at a certain point.
Okay. All right, well, let's
Guys
start out with Station Street then.
Okay.
Thanks. Hopefully they're ready.
They're coming in, and we're going to get started, and I'm going to call Mr. Fopiano.
Thank you. So everyone should have a worksheet on 6 Station Street in your folder if you want to refer to that.
we use this table?
Absolutely. Need some more chairs up there, or is it,
Well, if Richard Henderson shows up.
yeah. Thanks for your flexibility. We're a little bit early.
Give you that one hand.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do you guys want to wait for Richard, or do you want to?
I don't think we have time. Well, it's not that we have
Okay.
time. I think that,
Okay.
just a mix-up on the time, so.
No, you guys are scheduled to go later, so.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks for being flexible. So, okay. All right, why don't we get it started then? First of all, we have Matt Falconeri here and Sevi Strzekalowski. Thank you so much for coming in. This is a new project for 6 Station Street Settles Glass. It's an informal discussion. We just finished reviewing a previous application for 6 Station Street not that long ago, but what I'd like people to do as best they can when they're thinking about this application, reviewing this application, is try to refrain from comparisons. I know it's going to be difficult, but try to refrain from, this is better than, or this is less bad than a previous project. So let's try to look at this with a fresh pair of eyes, fresh set of eyes, as we review this. So I think we all want to see something developed here. So I'm glad that you guys are taking this on. I appreciate it. I think the town appreciates it. And let's, with that, let's listen to the presentation. And I think the best we can do here tonight is to give you as much constructive comments, have as many questions for you as we possibly can, so we can give them some direction in terms of what our thoughts are and where we think they should head going forward. I think if we can get as much of that out right now, have it as open as possible, I feel like we can avoid some of the things that may come up down the road. So if we all use kind of our worksheet here for this evaluation that we have in terms of new infill and new construction, I think it will help out a lot. It will keep us headed in the right direction. But let's make the most of this time tonight, this informal discussion, so we can give some guidance and they can tell us about what the plan is. So, gentlemen, thank you very much for coming. Appreciate it. How would you like to start?
Sevi, you want to introduce the project?
I could do that.
Is this? Yeah. Old school.
It working? Hi, I'm Sevi Strzekalowski Architecture, and Matt Falconeri, the developer of the project. Our intent in approaching the project is to do a building that is within the appropriateness, with massing that works in the context, not to present to you a signature building. It's a background building. It's part of the streetscape. It's an opportunity to extend the streetscape of North Street and close up and make the corner to Station Street. But the character of North Street, where I spent a lot of time, is quite a variety of buildings. There's a scale, there's a funkiness, there's everything from 1-story to 3-story, but there's a kind of continuity of scale and use, and our proposal is to enhance the existing scale and use by something that responds to it, that provides the right kind of housing in the 2 stories of the 4 units over the retail, provides good retail, and we've designed a building that really has no rear. It's 3 street frontages, all acknowledging abutters. It's an odd site, it's sloped and on the corner, but we think that our building fits quite well within the context. This is a sketch which was in the ledger, was in the journal, black and white. But that was our first conceptual sketch to show the character, how it relates in scale to these buildings, the broken roof lines, stepping back along the street corner, providing retail frontage, turning the corner on North Street. In plan, the site plan, it's about 50% coverage of the site, set back 20 feet from the street at this end. Retail, again, in these 2 spaces. Wrapping the building with the opportunity to plant trees, create green space, and provide pedestrian sitting areas, make it part of the pedestrian experience in moving from the downtown to the harbor, which is the goal of the overlay district and of Historic Hingham Development Industrial Commission, with whom we met earlier this week. The site plan provides for garage parking for 7 spaces. We have 4 2-bedroom units, so we require 8 spaces. 7 of those would be enclosed in garages, and then additional 5 spaces for guests and the 1 remaining. And the planning board provides for the waiver for parking commercial within Station Street. 2 units above the 2-bedroom units, and there'll be a basement, but the grade rises. We're going to be continuous surface at 4% grade up to a rear entrance for residences, and there won't be any sight line issues because this is all open from our exit, which we moved over from the previous proposal. You'll be able to see those treacherous bus turnings that I deal with and a lot of people deal with. So the visibility is good both ways. This is a 3D rendering of our building set into the existing, photoshopped into the existing framework of the town. Again, the scale of these elements is similar to the scale down the street. The critical thing in this design is that the eave line is really of a 2-story building and picks up within a few feet the eave line of the adjacent building and other eaves down the street. So the 3rd level is dormered or pedimented space. It doesn't create a wall on the street that's 3 stories high, which I think was an issue before. And there are breaks in the roof, dormers. This element is, as you'll see in the model, the exact scale of probably 60% of the houses along North Street. We have details that will show you of what we propose for appropriate detailing, water tables, cornices, awnings on all the retail space, sitting areas in the front.
If it wouldn't have been you, it would have been me.
You don't need that.
Debbie.
What a
Said I would have done it if you wouldn't.
town tripod. What can I
Hi, Richard, we started early, sorry about that. That's fine, all right.
do? Richard. This is a 3D rendering of the Station Street side of the proposal, and you can see that the garage entries could be very residential, attractive with canopies with lights on them. And again, that two-story break of that continuous eave with the third story dormered and broken up, wrapping the commercial on that side. And these are typical details. These are right out of your book on
Get your house right.
Make Your House Right.
Get your house
Exactly.
right.
Get your house right. You know, there's a way to do that return. Headers over the windows, simple and appropriate to the period. Water table, garage, canopy. And Andrea and I actually picked a color called Historic Morning Mist, or something like that.
Yeah.
Do. It's a team effort. And I think you see in the elevations that there's not a substantial amount of wall area. It doesn't feel out of scale with the rest of the buildings, and that the wall area as the dormers step back is appropriate to the context of other buildings on the street. And this really reads as a 2.5-story element, and you'll see in the model, we look at that this piece is reflective of the other buildings on North Street. It's interesting with a model, the danger is you look down at it only, and you never see it from that side. And it's also dangerous to look at elevations and judge a building, because you don't see buildings in elevation. You see them in perspective, and they're going away from you. The roofs are going away from you, picking up light. So these are more street views showing the similarity. We're proposing a 9 and 12 pitch, which the 44 North Street has, and most of the other buildings along the street have. Anything less, 8 or 6, is going to start to look chunky, and the appropriate contextual kind of connection to the rest of the buildings is critical. Here's the back side of it, and I think you can see in 3-dimension how the elements of the massing, this coming down North Street, are related to other buildings. This, which I handed out to you, is kind of an interesting demonstration of what perception of a building, what sight lines are, how height and relationship is seen. This, obviously, from the near side of a sidewalk on North Street, you wouldn't see any roof. But from back here, what you do is pick up the ridge line. This is this is 44 North Street. This somewhat set back, as the sidewalk gets wider there, is our proposed building. And not that it's relevant, but you've been through it recently. I thought it would be interesting to see the previous proposal, because it's not just about height, it's about sight lines. And if you lower a building, but you don't have that sight line that, in this case, projects this roof, which is on that same 9 and 12 extension, only 4 feet above the roof of 5 feet of 44. So this is 44. This is our building, and the fact that it's set back and the ridge is back here means it doesn't overshadow 44. I think looking at the model, what you begin to see is that the scale, these elements really all reflect the scale of the buildings along here. As you come down the street, you see that corner of what really appears a 2.5-story building is that eave line that picks up and relates to the eave lines of other buildings in the street. Rich, you want to say something? You have to. Okay. Want to say anything?
No, I think you covered it. I mean, I want to probably stress the purpose of those photos down here. You know, these models can be deceptive for us to stand at 6 feet and look straight down on it, because none of us will ever view this that way. So we've been holding it up and kind of holding it as though we were 6 feet above the sidewalk, which if you would like me to hold it up for each of you, I will, or if you understand what I'm saying, you know, it's a totally different perspective of even sitting here and looking at it.
It's interesting to see things such as the truncated roof of the brick building next door, you know, which is one kind of solution to lowering height, but then you've lost the connection to the 9 and 12 historic context. And as I said, you can change the roof pitch, but then it's also out of context.
Thanks. Savvy, thank you. Thank both of you for all the effort you put into this for an informal discussion. It's a lot of work's already been done here, so thank you for that. It makes things easier for us, and hopefully it will help with the discussion. So I thought what we do tonight is just informally discuss what we talked about, ask questions, give comments, as you know, give some direction here as best we can. It's our first meeting, but let's make the most of this time, because I think we'll make the process easier for everyone, and we'll be able to further this along as best we can.
Mr. Chairman, may I just add that the formal application will be heard on the 27th. That's our meeting 2 weeks from tonight.
Okay, all right, good. So with that, who would like to start? Open it up. Please.
Very impressive. I just was wondering where the utilities would be located vis-a-vis the, because we talked about having a view from all sides, not really having a back. So I was just curious where that was.
Sure. Utilities, probably more concerning would be the air conditioners.
That's precisely
Yeah,
what
okay.
I'm talking about, right?
We have room, we've allotted room here, so it won't be on what we're considering.
We've actually set the building back 6 feet from the retaining
Okay.
next door, and then there's an easement, utility easement here, to the electric company. But we will screen it.
Okay. Thank you.
I've got a couple of questions on, I appreciate what you've done to sort of break the mass up and to sort of relate to the context of the street. How does the height of this relate to the structures beyond the red building, so the Ravies building and the building beyond that? Do you know what the height of those are?
Thought you'd never ask. Hey, Mark, you want to read this? You wrote it. This is Mark Coughlin, who works with Mark.
I'm with Sevi.
What's you?
We have, our building is located, the ground level is located at roughly 16.5 feet in elevation, and we're going up roughly 41.8 to the ridge. This building, which is 38, that's roughly, that's down around elevation.
I'm sorry, yeah, use the
oh.
microphone, thank you.
That's down around elevation 13.5 as far as off the grades I'm going to give you a roughly top of curve off the sidewalk. That, we measured the top of the sidewalk to the top of the ridge, and that's about 32'8". That's 32'6". The building at 34 North Street is 32'8", roughly. And these are plus or minus dimensions without...
And so comparatively, you're 41.
Yes.
Are you, I noticed there's an elevator in the project. Is the elevator override contained within the gable?
Within, yes.
Yes.
And will there be any venting that's going to have to occur?
Yeah, and we're looking at venting through a gable end.
Won't be any projection.
Yeah.
Or, you know, worst case would be some type of dormer off the, but not to go higher than the ridge.
Right. And then the other question I had, I noticed one of the renderings, obviously the grade drop on the Station Street side, and I know that one of the renderings, you could sort of see it to some extent, but is that, you're able to take care of that grade with just paving? You don't need steps or walls or anything like that?
We'll need, you got that backside
Yeah.
elevation? We're going to need a couple of foot retaining wall at the parking as we get near the red building.
Yeah.
Because it does, the grade drops off continually back there. But that makes a nice separation to the sidewalk,
Yeah.
and it's safe, and it can be attractive stone wall.
I think the rendering makes it look flatter than what it appears to be out there. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think for the following meeting, I think it would be good to sort of get a better understanding of the grades and if there's any steps or what your landscape plan would be to address the Station Street side.
Yeah, it's from a lower angle, that's why, I mean, this is off a
Yeah.
survey. But you should know that the grade will be continuous from our entry up to the garage doors. We're going to probably drop the garage floor a foot or so, and then have a ramp to the elevator. But, you know, there's not going to be any grade cut or change in grading.
That's it for now.
Is there any engineering that can be done to perhaps with the ceiling joists and floor joists to reduce the height and still get you the interior height that you need for the commercial spaces?
I mean, we're certainly going to be,
We've been talking about structure that's, I can't even think what it's called, composite structure. That's the stiffest and shallowest you could do, where the beams are incorporated in the slab, it's studs. So we'll do what we can.
I think, to your question, I think most of our joists we're proposing are already down to 12-inch, and then upping the load level on each.
Okay. So that's included then, that is part of this rendering?
We've given serious consideration to that.
Okay.
have another question. It goes back to what you asked before regarding the electric units. Is there going to be a basement, or since it's a 4-unit residence with 2 retail units below, trash? Where are you thinking about putting the trash? I mean, off the top, I think it's fantastic, and I love the incorporation of the green space and the break in the roof lines, but with the residential and the retail space.
So we're working through some of those details. From this level here, we're going into the garages.
Yep.
And as you can see, it comes around the corner of the building, and it's probably a one step up from the garage floor to the retail floor. But below the retail floor, there will be storage area.
Okay.
Whether it's allocated to the retail units,
Or the residential?
We haven't worked out all those details for.
Basement-like space, is that?
It's going to be
Probably a
headroom. Go ahead.
Yeah, we're going to try to keep the headroom below 7 feet, so it won't be a...
But not under the garages, be just under the retail, so it's about
Correct.
half the area.
Yeah, that horizontal line that goes a third back from you. This horizontal line here, this way forward.
That would define where
That
there is
space.
some kind of
Yeah.
And the trash, we're looking at, we haven't had the benefit to this point of working with a site engineer, but when we do these buildings, normally now you provide an enclosed recycling compactor. So we may give up a parking space, but we can do that per the bylaw.
With the outside spaces?
With the outside spaces.
Okay. Thank you.
Justin, any,
I'm struck by how beautiful it looks and the sense of rhythm. If I go to the evaluation worksheet, how the rhythm seems to match the neighborhood. I find the roof lines harmonious with the rest of the neighborhood. Very, very positive response.
anything else?
No, thank you.
A couple questions from me. The retail space is going to be, what's the height of that roughly? What are you thinking?
For interior ceiling space?
Yeah.
12. We're trying for 10 feet, so it's 12 feet floor to floor there, and we have to accommodate framing and ductwork for that space.
So 10 feet interior?
Interior finish.
Yep, gotcha. How about the second and third floor?
9 and 9.
So, let me just interrupt for a second. So, in the top floor, we lose square footage because to get that 9 feet with that roof slope is like attic space. So that's taken into account.
Yeah, it's not all 9. It's a lot of under eave and...
Platform of 9, tucked into the eaves.
In looking at the diagrams and just your neighbor at 44 North, my biggest concern and what I'm trying to get comfortable with is the height.
Sure.
And you've got a 16-foot differential by my calculations off of 44 North.
Right.
From this building height. So that's something that I'm trying to come to grips with because it's a big step up, and I don't want to see this building overpower the red building. Now, let's just assume that the red building is a one-off, and this can be like a bookend opportunity. Okay, then I can start going down the line, and I have 40 North at 28.5, and I've got 38 North at 32.8 is what you were talking about. And I think 38 North is the one with the gable facing the street, correct? So I was kind of looking at that gable, And I was thinking, all right, how could you match up with that gable at, roughly 32.8 with your building? And I looked back at the drawings, and it's, that gable is about, I think it was it 38? I'm trying to remember. It was like 4 or 5 foot differential, but it was, yes, 38.10. 38.10 is what you had on these drawings. So I'm thinking if that could be matched up with 2 or 3 buildings down the street, that could really get, some of your scaling, and if you can bring in the eave lines that you're trying to do, I think that would work well. The other thing I would look at is, I went into 44 North and I measured the interior ceiling. I can't remember what they had in there once, but it was just, I went in there like a few months ago.
7.2 or something.
Yeah, so I can't remember exactly what it is, but you try to kind of match up what the other interiors are there. Now, I granted, this is a new building, and, it's going to be tough to achieve, but, maybe there's a blend that you can get to. Maybe it's not 10, maybe a foot can come out of there, maybe a little bit can come out of here and there, to get this thing down a little bit. Just some thoughts. I have a question for you, Matt. We didn't get to a kind of a visual on the street when we reviewed this last time. Is it possible to show 41 feet up there with some type of structure that we could visualize, that you could put up, and maybe it's a rope between the two, and maybe there's something with with the gable that's facing the street where we can construct something simply, but to help us with the visualization from the sidewalk and from across the street, because that's gonna. I think that would do a lot to get, I know it would help me get comfortable with this differentiation between the 16-foot here and the red building and the other buildings on the street.
So I was prepared for that, but not necessarily in an answer, because it's a tricky do.
Yeah.
To, liability-wise, to hold something up that's 41 feet, rope is one thing.
Yeah.
But once you get timbers that aren't, it's a paved parking lot.
Yeah.
So anchoring is an issue.
Okay.
And I sincerely have concerns about keeping it safe.
Okay. Gotcha.
My intent in investing in this, I understand you've seen this before, but this didn't come free to me, was hoping that this could help you see that. I think it would involve a crane sitting there, holding it, hanging it, or something.
Okay.
Show you 41?
Yeah. I think like Sevi said,
No,
the
that's
model.
a concern. I think that diagram, which I worked on today, because I'm aware of that concern for overpowering, but
This diagram?
the fact that the ridge is set so far back, it's not really overpowering. In fact, it kind of grows out of that building, so I think there is a connection, and I think that ridge is going to pretty well disappear. There's also on the backside, on Station Street side, there's so much space, and right now there's a lot of one-story buildings. It's the desert back there, so it's appropriate scale for that environment, I think.
The sight lines, it might be a good exercise to look at this from the Station Street side too, because with the grading change, you have about 7 foot off of that back corner on Station Street, the rear of your lot. So if you add that 7 feet to your 41, you get up around 50 feet. So I would like to understand how that visual is going to work for the folks in that building, and for the visual off of the sidewalk and from those.
Well, our
those
3D
views.
rendering is from actually behind the chain link. Those are built from photographs, and it was taken in the space behind the brick building. So it's an actual photo of
That one down there?
landscape.
And Sevi, if I understand this correctly, if I look at the sight line analysis, Hans is thinking about the difference in height from 44 North and it's about a 17.5-foot difference in the ridge line.
Right.
But if I understand this correctly from the sight line analysis?
The sight line, it's only a 4-foot,
It's a,
5-foot difference.
I was trying to eyeball it, I was thinking it was like less than 9-foot difference
right.
from this kind of perspective.
Yeah,
from
and that's because of the
visual.
offset of the ridge. And then the closer you bring the ridge to the street, as the
Right.
orange building brought the 3 stories, even though it was 32 feet, I think, but it brought it right to the street. So that impact was much greater on the street.
Right, so it's really this,
It's that 5 feet.
it's that
That's the
5-foot
projection.
difference is the
From
emotional difference.
Sidewalk across
Yeah.
North Street. Right.
Can I see the model?
Yeah.
There's a lot that works really well with this design. I think the eaves, the gables here, where you're trying to work with the other geometric shapes off the street, I think that works. I think that works well. I think you've done. I think what you're trying to do is conceal as much mass as you can with this project. So I get what you're trying to do. It's just the height is where I'm gonna.
Yep.
I don't know if it's more time. That's why I was asking about the visual, the real visual out there. When I look at this drawing I'm about a mile away right now. I can really see the difference between the 2 buildings, But when I'm on the North Street side, the north side of North Street, will I be able to tell? I don't know. No. It's one of these things that you might not know until you get it up, but I want to make sure that, as much information as I can, and I know as much as I can before it does go up, if it goes up.
I'd just like to add that the roof forms are complementary, the wall planes are complementary, but I also have a concern about the overall height, and why I was asking if you had engineered your floor systems to get to this particular height of 41. The concern would be dwarfing number 44. We have a worksheet here. I don't know if you've seen this, Sevi or Matt. We have a worksheet that Andrew can provide it to you.
Yeah.
That we have to go through, and it says the height of the new construction in the district should be compatible with the adjacent historic buildings.
So, to me, 44 it's one of a kind. It's not a great piece of architecture, it's charming, but it's part of what makes that mix. And there's a variety of height, and I think we're contributing to that. And the fact is that our projecting element is less than that 47 feet, that 44 is wide. So I think in the elevation I passed out to you, that they're compatible, and the roofs really do disappear. What you're going to see is walls. You'll see that projecting pediment, which is the same scale as the building next door. But I don't see that replicating 44 is the challenge. I think it's to just make something that fits in the whole block.
Other than, what is that, the brick building, what number is that?
That's-
One
I don't know.
station?
One
station? There is nothing else with mixed use that has this many units, is that correct? Well, that's not even mixed use, number 1, Station Street. That's just strictly an apartment building.
They're all houses.
They're all houses, and they were all built,
And then retail went into them, well, except Greg Hall's building and those others, but I think we're compatible with those. the ones that were built as commercial buildings.
Did you ever think about 2 buildings on this site or more? That kind of thought ever up in terms of breaking up the mass, maybe working more with the space, giving you more flexibility? I don't know how planning would think about that.
Do you have to have 2 elevators, 4 stairs?
Yeah, I mean, there's considerations. I'm just wondering.
Pretty small, and I think I don't think the mass is an issue. I really think that it's very compatible. But 2 units per floor, you really can't do 1 unit per floor.
Anything else? Yeah, on the worksheet, and also, I mentioned the height, we talked about rhythm. Does the new construction reflect the rhythm of the surrounding buildings in a manner that contributes to the special character of the district? We talk about scaling with the height proportions and floor-to-floor proportions when compared to adjacent structures. So something to think about there, just in terms of the other height-to-height, floor-to-floor proportions for some of the other buildings close by. That might be something that we would ask about and focus in on too. We haven't really talked about the rear of the building and the garages. You know, on North Street, we don't have a lot of garages. As you look down the street, I think there's maybe 1 or 2 buildings further down that it's got 1 garage, but that's something that we may opine on. Are there any questions regarding the garages or the rear? I'm wondering if the rear can be maybe broken up or jogged somehow with the garages, so it's not one side that we're looking at, where maybe these are kind of broken up with you know, trim boards, or you know, maybe something comes out a foot, goes in a foot, something to kind of break up that rear a little bit, to make it look a little bit less like a
There's a residential entrance is recessed, so there'll be, you know, a fair amount of relief, and that'll be attractive. So there's really no out back. But you have to have garages for the quality of the residential units. I was afraid you were going to say that it ought to all be retail and park everything on site.
So on this drawing, this is the residential entrance that you would imagine
Yeah, and that's
addresses or is responsive on this.
That's right. Yep.
I'm wondering if that can somehow, instead of just one facade, you can, you know, some things you could do, you know, to make that a little bit more interesting on the rear of the building than just, you know, 4 garages. That's a little bit more unique. Other thoughts?
I think the color on the garages kind of calls attention to them, the contrast, you know, a way to,
The black.
yeah, it sort of makes it stand out as a garage. I mean, I think that it's compatible with the color, and I understand why you do it, but it does sort of draw attention to it, so that,
Sure. just thinking residential and other, black entry doors, black shop doors, I think that's appropriate, but you're probably right that it's too much black on the garage door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What, if anything, might you propose to the concerns about height?
Reduce ceiling height?
So it's an equation of geometry on the width of the building and the roof pitch. So the variable, going back to Ben's question, would be framing materials or ceiling height. So at the end of the day, we take a foot out of commercial, you start, those sorts of elevations play a major, in my opinion, detriment to commercial retail space. Residential, 8'6" is cutting it shorter than I'd ever want to go. So they're big cuts there for little gain for trying to lower the ridge height. So say we took 6 inches each, that's 18 inches. I'm not sure how we get there. We can play with some materials, but I'm not sure how, we're already at 12, aren't we? On the joists?
In the retail space is the one with ductwork, not knowing what's going to go in.
Yeah.
We can't hear you, so you...
Sorry.
I was just saying on the retail, not knowing what the occupant would be, is just making sure you have plenty of space for mechanical systems moving ductwork.
They need to be attractive residential and retail units. I mean, people are leaving retail space. We need to do something attractive that is going to meet the market. Sarah Campbell pulled it out, I understand.
Really?
I think so. There's the issue of having the right kind of residential to support downtown retail is really what we're after. That's what the overlay district's about. And if the ridge height begins to be detrimental to the marketability of the space, I'm not sure that's a good trade-off.
Okay. Any other questions? Have we given you enough to, this is informal, we're supposed to,
Sure.
give you some feedback so that we can
Yeah,
have
and just so, to your point, my clock is ticking. So I understand your concerns. I'm just sincerely not sure what we can do. I'm perfectly willing to try, but we've thought about all this. We've tried bringing it down as far as we can. We didn't go into this saying, let's make it tall. We've squashed it on the site. We've done our best with mass. We feel as though it fits with the rambling streetscape. It was not our goal to end up at 42, 41.8. So I'm not sure 2 weeks when I come back, if you're looking to get it down to 32, I can't happen.
The story.
Because, we end up back to a mansard. And then we'll just go in a circle again, because I don't think that fits with that neighborhood.
Or we do this. I don't think anybody wants to see that. Doesn't fit anything.
So, I'd rather just be open and frank with each other right now on this level.
Oh, Mr. Henderson, can you please just use the microphone? Thank you.
The other thing that's difficult here is Matt's under some contractual restraints, so that we really do have to resolve this by the evening of the 27th. So my issue would be, whatever's done, how soon would you need additional submissions to be able to objectively look at this conclusively on the 27th? Because if it isn't resolved by then, it's probably not going to be resolved. So I'm not exactly sure, listening tonight, what can be done. The height seems to be the principal issue, but it's not something that hasn't been considered in all the design alternatives that have been thought about for a long time. And I'm not so sure that it realistically could be redesigned in the appropriate time. Do you, Matt?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Not so much time, but just appropriate design.
Right.
You know, I think we all agree that this roof line doesn't work for the context of this whole street. So we gave it our best shot consciously.
The other thing to remember is that that ridge line is 20 feet off of North Main Street. I think you can't tell from the drawings or from the model, but it's 20 feet. That makes a dramatic difference in the height. Yeah, I think that ridge wasn't it 20 feet, the correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole point of the sight lines. What you actually see is only 5 feet, as Justin says, difference. And, you know, there's a lot of space that a building of that height is appropriate in.
And with the different step backs and the gables and the awnings, we were trying to achieve that rambling look. I know someone brought up 2 buildings, but that was the intent there, to reduce mass, the visual mass.
Maybe we could do something to make the rear more interesting, but it's not going to be, you know, there's also limited, you know, it's a small site, and to park efficiently, you need certain dimensions. You can't push the building back into that.
Question. The right side is lower than the left side. Is there a way to, if you were to match this, it would give the appearance of being lower right here? I know we won't be able to like have an impact up here, but this height right here is, what, a foot lower than it is over here? Does that make sense? Am I right? I don't know if I can see why the height is like that, because then you have the full height going back. Or would there be another way to achieve that in the second floor apartment? Back to what Hans was bringing up earlier, breaking up the garage doors in the back. Is there a way to step those so that it doesn't become one just flat facade in the back?
Well, we can look at that and try to do something trim, but it's not going to be a major shift. The site plan has to work. Tomas, let me just show what you're looking at. This, you have to look at the rear elevation to see what this element is. But that's actually a very funky shed roof that looks out over the parking lot of the adjacent house. It's going to be a neat little detail. Yep. That's the only one like that in the building. And when you see it from this side, it's not going to be, this isn't a flat roof, it's a shed that comes to that point, it breaks out of the roof. So that's a change in massing that is going to contribute.
Sevy and Matt, what about just tightening up the width of the building? You know, you lose some square footage, but, you know, you achieve the ridge height reduction. I mean, how much flexibility do you have in the width of this?
The garage is...
The width is driving, the pitches are driving how high this is.
You kind of end up losing the garages. These garages, you know, residentially on a lot elsewhere in town, you'd shoot for 24 feet, which is comfortable. These are 20, so then you know, that's a tight garage.
Yeah, you're talking about the turning radius backing out of your garage.
Yeah.
Yeah, 20's it.
20's
Can't
tight.
go any tighter than that.
And as it is, you know, the retail is 874 square feet. You can't attract on one of them and then 1,300 on the other. So we really have it pared down as tight as I think we can go.
It's a question of how much we're looking to take out. We can, do the gesture, of inches, but does that gain everybody anything?
Well, Sevi, what about, so looking at the front elevation again, if you look on the second floor, if that frieze board becomes the trim of the window head, I know we're not gaining a lot, but we're gaining some. And then if you take a look at the third floor, again, the frieze becomes a window head. I think we've gained a foot there.
Well, you can lower the roof. We brought that eave down. You want to respond, Mark? You may have worked out those details.
Microphone.
I'm fine
Basically,
with tying the freeze
going back to the
That's
dormer
what
that
they
Sevi
do
was
at 44.
talking, it's probably easy to see in the rear.
Window head.
That
But that's
the
about
height of the
the roof.
window is at 8 feet, and the ceiling is already cutting into most of that room, which is why he ended up on the dormer. We have dormer on the side as well.
What's our?
I think we'd
what's
be
our
looking at
detail?
dropping everything on the roof. As far as carving out the second story.
Incorporate the head. I mean, we can
Cut a deeper shoe?
drop the eave
Yeah.
into that, maybe lose some more square footage. I think that's, that kind of thing is doable and makes some sense, and actually, it's what happens at 44, is that the window head is part of the frieze board.
Maybe this is a combination of things, Matt, in order to get a height reduction. So it's things like that where you're getting into the frieze becomes a window head. What if you change some bearing wall positions so that your joist heights can be reduced? What if, I think it's a series of things to help you reduce the height. I'm not looking for 32 feet.
Well, I agree with you, but you know as well as I that you go from a 12 to a 9-inch joist. So we gained 3 inches. I'm perfectly willing to go through that exercise and beef those up. But at the end of the day, you add up 3 inches, you might save 6 inches, 8 inches by cutting a shoe cut out of that rafter deeper and drop it on the top plate.
Right.
But, we're talking 9 inches there. So I'm perfectly willing to try. But we're not going to get feet out of this, I don't think. If I can, I will. So then I want to look at and evaluate, okay, we saved 9 inches, but what does that do to the end product?
Right. So what did we say number 38 was in overall height? 38 feet, you said?
Number 38 was 32 foot
32.
6 inches, and that's from sidewalk to ridge.
Okay.
Along North Street.
Maybe there's a discrepancy. I had 34.9 for 38.
I like your numbers better.
Maybe that takes maybe there's a closer look there, requires a closer look. So for this committee member, getting closer, I'm not looking for 32 feet. I think that's an impossibility.
It is.
But closer to that 34.9, I'm feeling much more comfortable about the overall ridge height and as it relates to the adjacent buildings.
Is there a third floor on, at that address? I know that's the gable facing the street. Is there a third
Yeah,
floor up there?
There's a gable window.
Is there a gable window? Is there
Yeah.
much space up there? I don't know how they're doing it, but
Probably not. I'd say there's not a lot of space up there.
But you can actually see in the lower left-hand corner, the far left easel.
Yeah. The valleys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you're standing in that ridge, you've got some headroom.
What's in that building? I can't remember. It's next to Ben's. Ben Wilkes.
Is this the building?
That's the building.
30.
Do we know who's in there?
No, it's down the street. It's down the street.
This
It's
is,
the lower right.
34 is, that's 34.
Yeah.
That's 38. And I believe there's maybe some offices with residents. And even with our building, you know, this is a 3-story building, but they have the benefit also, when you go in North Street, it drops down another 5 feet into the back area,
Right.
which you don't have the benefit where our building is positioned.
So if you were able to pick up that 9 inches or that 12 inches, or whatever it may be, how would that, when you talk about the line of sight, would that be impactful, that amount of space, given vis-à-vis what you're losing
Well, it's a 9
overall?
and 12 pitch, so
That would turn the 5 feet into, call it
4 foot,
something.
6. Yeah, I mean, it's, I mean, this thing, I mean, Ben, if you're talking about 6 feet, 7 feet out of it, that's, yeah, that's a whole different design.
Right.
We're not going to get that accomplished and approved by 27.
Other comments, questions? So optimally, we'd love to give you a solution tonight. Challenging property and design, like you've said. It's unfortunate that we can't get something, you know, tonight that's going to look a lot like, in terms of height and dimensions, like some of the other buildings on the street. Maybe we won't get there, but maybe the best thing to do is just kind of go back and think about what I know I'm going to go back and think about what we learned tonight, and maybe you want to do the same. And it sounds like it doesn't really impact your, you know, decision to make a submission or not. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So,
But I mean, I just don't want to go through this exercise for nothing.
Yep.
So that's why I'm just trying to be clear that I don't think I'm ever going to get the Ben's number.
Yeah.
Not even close.
Yeah.
I told you, I think anything closer to 40 feet is about as close as you're going to get, right?
Yeah.
Without, yeah.
Trying to get to
1'8".
40 feet.
A 1'8" reduction.
Yeah.
I mean, I just have to reiterate, we're not building a single-family home here. You know, it's not, it's not a colonial. It's not, this has a different purpose than anything else. So I think we need to take that into consideration.
Yeah, to compare it with houses that have become commercial,
Is not,
and unless we take a unit out, you know, which is, you're looking at the gable 3 stories down the road, you know, that's why their roofs are what they are. There's no space up there.
So, I mean, Andrew, I want to use the worksheet as much as we can with this in terms of evaluation, and I just want to, I'm thinking about having this thing as compatible as we can have it, but differentiated at the same time. And I'm going to use, you know, the worksheet as I review this and evaluate it, and I'm going to go through the criteria that we've put in there in order to go through that process. You know, I think that's why we put this together, to make it as consistent as we can from application to application in terms of how we review applications.
I also think we need to think about, and I agree with you 100%, but what I feel may not be happening here is that, I'm way out of line even saying this, but, because I have no vote. But anyway, I just think, given what is currently on the site, given the one proposal that we already saw, given the fact that, there's been an effort made to look at that first proposal and do something that is much more compatible. Also, have you spoken to abutters?
Some of them, yep.
And what was the reception?
I don't know her name. The woman that owns the plaza behind here, maybe she's here, I don't know.
No.
Heaps.
Okay, yeah.
Mrs. Heath?
She was,
Well, she spoke up, and apparently, I didn't hear
Yeah.
that, but she,
she thought
The beauty
she
parlor.
thought very positive.
to the press, I mean, people have felt positive. I don't want to speak for Bill Ramsey, but we met with him, and he said, try to do what you can to reduce the height, but he really appreciated what he was seeing. It was a very constructive meeting.
Well, to your point earlier, Sevi, about looking at it in elevation is unfair, but perspective is really what you need. So 1 foot, if you can achieve the 1'8" reduction, and you come with some visual aids that show the perspectives, I think they read a lot better than the elevations do. That would be my request. And then showing the back, certainly, so that those in the commercial property and from the parking lot around the back can see what that elevation truly looks like, because there was some concerns in the past that we didn't have enough elevations.
Yes, but we do have one.
Yes, you do, but perhaps in perspective, to your point.
Oh, to a sight line?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
Sorry,
sorry.
didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
Your North Street rendering, at the beginning, at the front of our packet was
A sketch?
helpful. So a sketch from the back, I think that would help.
Well, we do have the 3D rendering. Yeah, I can,
That's from the parking lot of one station?
Right.
Okay.
yeah, oh yeah, that's the back.
Richard, when you talked about coming in and filing and coming before this board on the 27th, do you expect a decision on that evening?
I think from his contractual obligation, I think he has to have a result, or it doesn't make any sense to carry on.
Wow. That puts us under a lot of pressure.
He does, he's in that position already, so I can't change that, so.
A project of this scope, to get it done in one meeting is...
Maybe we're not doing all the fine details of trim, colors, and landscaping and all that. We're strictly looking at the two issues that we're talking about right now.
Looking at height.
Height, yeah. Sounds like we're fine with, well, yeah, height.
I would be comfortable with that. I mean, I understand there's a lot of details to work out.
Okay.
But I'm not speaking for the board. The other committee members certainly have.
Yeah,
Well, it
and
could be-
I don't want to get into a situation where we're doing a straw vote either on this. I want to,
Right.
if this is a decision, then...
Right, that's what I was just going to say. We got into a position of perhaps giving opinions rather than votes, and maybe created some impressions before, so we need to make sure that it's very clear what we are voting on, and for everybody concerned.
For sure, yeah, that's why I'd prefer a vote versus just opinion.
Okay.
The other thing I was going to mention before, it's not necessarily germane to the historic district commission's responsibilities, but I pointed out to the planning board that with respect to this project compared to what you were looking at before, it's almost a 25% reduction in the overall square footage. It's set back from Station Street, there's green area, it's tying into the harbor, and it's providing a method by which what you're trying to accomplish, people from the village going to the harbor. It's a perfect fit from the perspective of its appearance. It's creating green space, it's creating a little bit of open space in the back, and it's far more impressive than what you were looking at least I think it is, from what you were looking at before. I'm not sure there's much you can do on this site that could be that much better than what you're being presented. I really don't. It's a...
Unless it was a two-story building.
Right.
And I know there's some other considerations here that are involved here that we don't know about, but unless it was a two-story building, Richard, right? I mean, you agree with him on that?
Well, I'm not as troubled by the height as everyone else. I actually think it's very attractive the way it's been designed.
Well, two-story building. We have an overlay district. We have a master plan for the downtown, and so it goes against that. And you're not providing what the town needs, which is the right kind of residential to support the retail. So maybe
Okay.
I think the massing was one of the issues that had been presented before that people had concerns about. I think the massing issue you've really addressed, or at least to my satisfaction, with the open space. I really like the idea of the little park area on the side. It has a less intense look, if that's an appropriate phrase.
pedestrian friendly.
Yeah, that's been achieved. I
A
think.
link, an attractive link to the harbor.
It's also, from your responsibility, it's a very unusual historic district. It's not what I would consider a consistent historic district. So I think that needs to be considered in light of our surrounding community.
Yeah, these were all warehouses and, along the mill pond. This is where people lived, workers, and some of the barons.
Okay, anything else? So I'm going to think about this very hard. I'm sure other people in the commission will, and I'm sure you're going to go back and think about what we talked about, and we'll meet again on the 27th. And I'm hoping that we gave you enough here tonight. I didn't want it to be a meet and greet. I want it to be as constructive and useful with your time, given the constraints that you're under. So hopefully that was useful for you.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
No, thank you for coming in.
And for all the
Yeah,
information.
and all the work that you've done. Yeah.
It's really been helpful.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, Mr.
Yes.
Fopiano is here, but I told him that we were going to move along.
Yeah, okay. That sounds good. Thank you.
When you're seriously trying to resolve this by the 27th, by what date would you need to see submissions?
So
Well, I
we do a
usually-
mailing, what, 10 days ahead of time?
A week.
Yeah, a week
A
ahead of
week. I
time?
don't know, though, whether that's sufficient time for
So September 20th?
If we had a
a week
week to
from
like,
today.
if they're new drawings, if we had a week to look at these and just kind of let it sink in, I think that would be very helpful. That's enough, if that works for you. I mean, it's, we're under the gun, you're under the gun, everybody's under the gun.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, there should be some interim input, rather than just all get together the 27th and try to guess which way take it.
Well, Sevi, hopefully there's enough information tonight that we gave you to kind of, think about what you'd like to do, the direction you want to go in. If there's not, I think Andrea is a very good resource for for reaching out to us. She has been, so I think that, we can't have another meeting, before that. I think it's just, yeah. So. Thanks a lot, guys.
Who's got the model? How the building just
All right, Monica, thank you for waiting. Sorry about that. Next up is 279 North Street. This is the Palmer and Silva residence. And Monica's going to talk about the addition that she'd like to put off the rear of this building. Come on up.
Hello.
How are you? Thanks for waiting. Sorry about that.
That's okay. So, we had that preliminary meeting about the addition off the back. The thought was that it was too large. We made it, I talked to them, and they really liked the idea of it, so we thought we would just pull it in a couple of feet and then come and see what you thought about it. We did do, I did do some work on this. We did the math on the 50% rule. And they're under it, even with the third floor. They're in the 40s. I think you have the math there. Can you see this? So this is just...
This thing has been a little tricky.
Oh, it's a tricky thing.
It is a tricky thing.
All right. It's okay. I can hold it in.
There we go. There you go.
So this is their plot plan, so it's a big piece of property. You had asked, one of the questions that was asked is, if the addition comes out, how far is it from the cottage in the back? So it's 40 feet with the addition on the house. This little thing is to scale, which would be the addition in the back. This is how the house is coming along. It had the white aluminum siding with the flare and so forth. That's been removed, it's been replaced with clapboard, it's been insulated, the trim's been redone, the rot's been taken care of, it's been painted. So that's what's been going on so far. And then this is the elevation that you can see from the corner of North Street where Burton Lane is. So here's Burton's Lane, and this addition potentially going across the back, the side closest to the square, you cannot see from the road at all. The rear of the home, you cannot see from the district at all. The part that you'll be able to see is the part that will attach to the back of this portion, the Burton Lane side. So when you're coming up the street, you can see it here. This is where we pulled it back a little bit. It was never flush with the house, it was always pulled back. You'll notice on the drawings that the drafter didn't drop the ridge line in the back. It's definitely going down. I asked him how low it could get below the first, because he says that happens to him all the time with the program. We've had that before, his drafting program. So it's 6 inches below. You will not see the addition from the front. There'll be no witch's hat or anything coming off the roof line. The roof will get redone and be continuous. And it will provide them the space they need in the back, as we kind of discussed in the beginning, to allow them to have the staircase that they need to use. It has that, there's probably a name for it, the staircase that goes up and in the front window here, and you can go into a door to this bedroom or a door to this bedroom, but you can't get to the back of the house. So that's the purpose of the addition and the space that they need. The porch was not salvageable, so I came and did another application to replace the porch as existing. So that's that. The elevation, the house itself, over on the drawing, on the floor plan drawing, it tells the dimension of the front of the house.
So you have to use the microphone. Maybe you should be like a lounge singer. No, a lounge singer. I said, just walk around with it.
I'd rather scream. Okay.
Can you hear me? Does this work? All right. So, wait a second, this is some of the other views. Why
don't you take the microphone into your hand?
Because I feel like I'm in a lounge. All right. This is the rear of the home as it is right now. Not to be insulting, it looks a little tenement-like. It's brick, it's flat. I don't know what's going on with that. It's not original to the house, is that what they?
Yeah, the sort of inventory thing they did in the, let's say, 60s, 80s, maybe, one of those, for the assessment of the house, and this is part of the storage district, noted that, yeah, the brick facade was added, was not part of the original house, along with various windows, yeah, the 3 windows, irregular fenestration. The wording they used, was not period, more colonial revival than the actual age of the house.
And I know we're here on the addition, but I think that the house is really coming along and coming back to being colonial. We stripped the door from 8 million coats of paint, and it's a natural color, and it's a beautiful antique door. We replaced and restored all the stained glass, put them back in, replaced the sills, replaced the walkway, did a new brick walkway. The walkway was wrong because it didn't have a step, so they were trying to use cement to make kind of a hump. We fixed that. And landscaping and so forth is something that we will do later.
Yeah, after we're done tearing up the yard.
Later. So we did not redo this 3D drawing because it's 2 feet less, and we just thought there might be more things that you felt about it. So this side right here, you cannot see from any angle. This sticks out beyond it, you can't see it. This is what you can see, but you never see it from this unless you're on Burton's Lane.
Yeah, if you look, so like that, this picture here that's from our driveway. That's in the yard, not
This
from
is
the
the
street.
beginning of the driveway. So
Yeah.
it's pretty far up Burton's Lane.
That is the worst. We gotta find something else, Sherry.
The house is positioned and angled relative to the street on the plot plan. So it's facing sort of this way, which is why you can never see from North Street this way. You can't see what would be added. If that makes sense, and that would be the view from North Street. So it wouldn't be as
Yes, this makes it look, this is straight from Burton's Lane.
right. This is an angle that you wouldn't see it from ever, which makes it look bigger. It would be coming from North Street up here. You'd be looking at it that way. Sorry, step it.
That's okay. One thing he did change on that when he sent it back to me is on the...
Good job, Justin.
So bad. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. I'll just hold it up. So we
Have to
changed the
throw that out.
windows. Because we brought it in 2 feet, we had to bring the kitchen into this space now. And there's a jog here that's back a foot. So in order to do that, these windows that were not of historic nature anyway, from the inventory, were changed to windows that would be similar to counter height. There's a definite, division between these with a stud pocket in between. This, not so much, but we would do them the same. So they would be all individual windows. I think that's it. Can you think?
Questions from the audience? Hey, who would like to start? Open it up. Any questions, comments? Looking left, I'm looking right.
I have some
Looking right.
questions. I have some questions just to get started. Monica, on the proposed right elevation, there are 3 awning windows. On the second floor, there are 4 lights.
Okay.
Where is the ceiling in relation to that? Maybe using some of the exterior elements to help indicate.
Are you talking about here in the dormer?
No, next level down.
Here.
The proposed rear?
No, on
No,
the
right.
proposed right
Okay.
elevation. Just want to get a reference of ceiling height there.
I would, the ceiling height of your house, your floor on the second floor.
Second story is about 7 feet, maybe?
Okay.
They don't have tall ceilings
No.
inside the house. And I just want to make note of this particular window and this particular dormer, even this is not any visible from the street.
Right, I'm just,
Oh, okay.
I'm using that as a reference point so I can
Oh, yeah,
understand
okay.
your floor levels and ceilings and...
I think we're limited to pretty short heights to keep everything consistent coming from the existing house. I mean, it would have to be pretty creative otherwise to,
Yeah, I would say even in their current kitchen, the ceiling height is low.
yeah, both floors. I mean, it's a really, really old house, and, yeah.
And I think that's why when they did that flare, I don't know if you guys remember that, Julie brought pictures of the existing house, but when the flare was in the middle, it made the house, the reason why they disliked it is it made the house look squatty. It made it look short.
Yeah. That and the thick, the aluminum siding was thicker. Each aluminum section was like this wide, but that and the bump out between the first and second floor is not a all aluminum.
So, I'm sorry, on the proposed left elevation, since that's visible, if you're standing inside the house on the second floor and you're out either one of those, any one of those three windows,
In the existing house.
in the existing house, how close is the ceiling to those window heads?
Pretty close,
The
yeah.
molding touches the top of the,
Okay, it interferes, right, all right.
Yeah, I don't know if that was always the case, but they, I think at some point they dropped ceilings because they have that recessed lights in there, and they redid it.
Yeah, they could have done that. They did put recessed lights in the ceilings, so they could have, the old recessed lights, so they could have dropped the ceiling to put the housing in it.
I see.
Yeah, I think the house was redone interior like 2005-ish or something.
I want to say 1980. I told them about the wallpaper.
I think they were dealing with the constraints of the existing
wallpaper.
exterior and made some decisions that weren't necessarily the best. So they broke up a lot of the rooms that were already kind of small, and now they're even smaller and kind of odd shaped and unusable because they were putting in trying to squeeze in modern amenities that without, in the footprint that was there. Part of what we're trying to do is take that stuff out.
Monica, in the attic, do you know how high the ridge is from the floor of the attic? Or if you're standing up there, can you give me a general idea of headroom?
Oh, yeah, at the peak,
Here, on
it's
this
probably.
window, the specialty window. He wants to know from the floor to the
Yeah.
top of that, yeah.
It's about 9 feet or
Yeah,
so.
it's still not high.
It's not super high now.
When you're standing in the specialty window, your face is up in the upper part of this.
Okay.
Without the addition coming off the roof, when you go up there, you can stand up, but in the center section only, that runs from side to side. So that's what that gable in the back is providing, a staircase and an ability to use that space. The usable space, as you can see on the floor plan, they're saying the usable space is to the sides of the staircase, and the knee walls are taking up a lot of it.
So you're talking about A3 proposed attic space. The
Yes.
staircase is dead center with the new ridge to get you the headroom.
That's the reason for the height of the addition, is to try to get a staircase in there that can get us, so there's a staircase.
it's almost like ship stairs.
Yeah,
It's
it goes to the
really-
third floor now. It makes like 2 or 3 turns around a fire chimney and inside, and it's very narrow and steep and not really usable.
You know, the giant chimney in the center of the Colonial with the fireplaces in all rooms, second floor, first floor.
Yeah, it'll
I mean,
funnel
the-
into one chimney,
The-
but at that spot.
17, the year of the house,
26.
26. But I don't know when they decided to do the brick facade in the back, or,
yeah, there's been a number of additions. I don't know what it originally would have been.
Oh, and those pictures with Dawn and the stick, we did the black and white photos that are there on that picture that you're looking at. So he's standing at 15 feet beyond the house and 17 feet beyond the house in that picture.
And that's the distance of...
And
how
that,
far
the
this is
addition, the
proposed?
original addition that I brought was 17 feet, we reduced it to 15 feet. But at 15 feet, it becomes 40 feet from the cottage, so it's not that it's tight on the lot at all. The lot is really big, and it's especially big on the, well, it's big on both sides, but it's more cleared out, so it appears bigger on the Burton Lane side. And where we took the pictures from on Burton's Lane in the driveway is near the back of their property, but that's where you can see the side of the house dead on because it's tilted. And so I'm always a little confused about where the visible, I mean, you'll definitely be able to see some of it from North Street if you're looking, but the house is cocked, the addition's going back, it's in from the side, the ridge is below, and there's plenty of room for it. So I don't think that it's interfering with the colonial nature of the original house.
Sorry, were you done?
I am for now.
So I've got questions about the side elevation
Yeah?
here, because I'm assuming that's what it looks like today,
Yeah.
right? And the elevations that are drawn are very different from that, just in terms of window size, window placement.
He doesn't have anything to show this antique window in his program. We're not changing that window, that's staying.
That's staying.
This is staying, this is staying, this is staying. This is the window that they deemed non-historical, which we did the 3 windows here, because by bringing it in 2 feet and needing a mudroom, we lost the ability to have the kitchen only in this section. We were gonna do a banquette underneath this. We can't do that anymore. So we just kind of went like this.
So this is staying.
Yes.
But there are 2 windows shown here.
Yeah, I'll have them change it.
So it should look like
I'm
that.
not changing any of the existing windows in the house, other than that
Other than
window
that.
right there.
And so that one, is it intended to not line up with the window head on the other one? Is this, which one of these is?
These line up, and this is directly underneath this, and the 3 windows would be directly underneath this. He just made an error.
I mean, the window head, sort of across. Yeah, these
Oh, yeah,
are taller.
It will be the same, it will be the same pattern.
So is this height correct, or is that height correct?
No, this height is correct because it'll be counter height with the kitchen windows.
And so this is drawn incorrectly and should actually be up here somewhere.
You think? See how low it is?
Well, what I'm trying to do is make sure that this elevation is looking the way you intend it. Because right now, there's a few things that are sort of off, and I just want to make sure I understand what it is. So, I mean, the space between, if you kind of imagine that was a little higher, the space between these 2 windows here, if that goes up, looks a little closer to what is drawn here. But you're right, there's less room between the sill and the bottom here than you have here. So I think I would just want to see that cleaned up a little bit, just to get a better understanding and to make sure what's lining up along that facade.
Okay.
And I think the representation on the bottom there, and I know we talked about what you could see from the side road or not, I assume, is this representative of what you might see from the side road? Because I think if that's true, you will see the width of that on the back, which I think is what we commented on last time.
That's from
That's from
on
the
the lot. That's in the driveway on the lot.
The back of the lot of Burton's
It's not
Lane.
from
It's-
Burton's Lane.
It's not from North Street. The one from North Street is, did you take one?
When you say that from the side, are you talking about Burton's?
Burton's Lane, yeah.
Yeah, that's, so in between Along Burton's Lane are a number of trees and a, yeah, there's no shot.
No, but see this is the driveway. This is the edge of the garage over here, so it's actually, you're taking it from here.
Yeah, so that picture is probably taken from like here. As opposed to actually on Burton's Lane. So here there's three pretty large, 2 or 3 large maple trees, and then there's like a hedge or series of here. So most of that view is obscured anyway.
It's definitely a side view issue for where you would be able to see anything, because this straight-on shot of the front of the house, you can see the side of the garage, which is also brick. So it's directly behind this house and in by a foot. So you wouldn't see it from the front of the house. It's when you're driving down North Street and you pass Burton's Lane, you'd be able to see it, but you're never going to see it like that. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
not from this angle. It'd always be more diminished than this because you'd be looking at it, kind of this way.
and in regards to that, it's 15 feet, so on the plot plan one, you can see that it's small compared to the size of the building. I know the 3D drawing is making it look bigger, but we pulled it back, we changed the shingle, we tried to keep the windows in keeping, and we're trying to make it look like it did happen over time. It's set back, the ridge is down, it's a colonial, so to add the space and give people the open family concept that they want, it's relatively easy to give them what they want by doing that, and it's a very small view corridor that you can even see it from. And are we saying that, I understand the whole property is historic, but are we saying that we go up Burton's Lane and we stand on the corner of Burton's Lane and we say, oh, we can see it side view?
Well, it's a public way.
But it's not in the historic district.
The house is.
No, I know that.
You're saying Burton Lane is not
Right.
part of the historic district.
Right.
It's a public way, it's visible, it's under our jurisdiction.
Regardless of whether the public way is
in the
not.
historic district.
Yes.
Public way, it's under our jurisdiction.
But I think that in regards to that, in their section of their historic district, you have to see what's around them. Across the street, they have a really big colonial that's been recently built that stretches in a very long dimension, that has a big 2-story addition that's only 1 foot back from the main house that's directly across the street from them. To the right, at the Selzner's house, they have a big addition, much bigger than this, and from the public way of Burton's Road, you can see the entire thing. Really big. Bigger than the house,
You can see
I
the
would
whole thing
say.
from North Street. It is bigger than the house.
Bigger than the house. And so that's something that has been built not that long ago, and I'm not saying, oh, okay, because they did it, we want to do it. This is a much smaller addition, it's much more in keeping, and it definitely is going to look like it was built over time, and we'll try to make it as historically relevant as we can. I don't think it's extremely controversial, and I do understand the other house had a difficult lot, but historically, it was approved to be like that, and we're just talking a couple of years ago.
Well, I think, this seems to be maybe one of those property for site visit, because I think there's certainly question as to what you can see and what you can't see from the public way, and I think
Yes.
the only way we'll really be able to tell is from a site visit.
Yep.
Okay.
Any questions, comments down there? No.
I certainly understand what you're trying to do, and I can appreciate it. I'm just looking at that addition, and I'll tell you, it looks massive from where I'm sitting. Maybe if we go out on a side visit and look at the property, and it still looks really big to me. That's just sort of my gut feeling.
But I think the back facade with the brick that's currently there, not to say the addition, I think the addition definitely improves it. The brick addition that's on the back looks like something in New York City. It's very flat, it's very, it doesn't even look like a colonial.
So I wasn't here at the last meeting, but what if it was stepped in a little bit more than just a foot? I gotta like just...
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, so from the left elevation, it stepped in a foot. Would it be possible to step it in maybe 3 feet?
No.
No, okay.
Because if it steps in 3 feet, that's their kitchen in the back corner. And if it steps in 3 feet, because we already brought it back 2 feet, we now have this big jog on the exterior wall of the kitchen to make the kitchen work. Because we have to have the staircase as one of the most important parts to this, because they don't have any ability to get up and down their stairs. And so the staircase, we looked at a million places to position it. If we put it in the center, and I think originally it might have been there, because there's a weird window on the back of the brick elevation, a little narrow window that possibly could have been in a staircase in the back in the center. I don't know where the staircase went, but even when you're upstairs, there's a small balcony looking at that window. I think there was a staircase there at one time. If we put the staircase in the middle, then they can get all the way up to the attic, they can get all the way down to the basement, because it's over where the bulkhead is currently now also, and we can work around it by providing, you know, up the dining room going down the side and the kitchen coming around. I know that the interior space is not, you know, the reason to do something on the exterior, but there's really no way to do it other than extending it from the side, which we didn't think that extending it from the side was, you know, adding on to the side. And then it's visible from the front, it's changing the facade of the colonial. It looks like a nice old colonial now.
Yeah, and we really like that. I mean, that's why we moved there. We really like the house, and we don't want to mess with that part.
And they really like the design.
Yeah, we do.
Because I went back to them and I said, you know, we can try to change the roof line, we can try to split the roof line, we can try to do two gables with a shed in the middle or something, and they like it.
I'm lost.
Actually,
I'm sorry, just back, so if you look at your floor plan, on the first floor, right next to the refrigerator, there's that space in there. Is that correct?
That little space between the refrigerator and the wall of the mudroom?
Yeah, that looks like a foot, right?
Yeah. The reason why this is like this right now is we left the kitchen kind of where it was. We had an entrance in a different area before we had our first preliminary meeting.
Okay.
So we haven't done a huge amount of reworking of this floor plan until we came to this meeting.
Okay.
They need a mudroom, they need a pantry. There's not, you know how it is these days, current day kitchens, there's not a lot of wall space, there's a lot of windows. And as long as you throw a pantry in there, you're good, but, you know, there's not really anywhere to, I mean, the pantry cabinets that he has this is the drafter puts in things for scale in here and things that would work in the space. But generally, we take this and we do a kitchen design with a kitchen designer.
I think seeing it would be
I'm having a very hard time
Yeah.
keeping
Yeah.
track of what it's going to look like.
I
would
think
have- I
if we
think I'd
can
have
see
to
the property, it will
yeah.
help you with the concept.
Even the last meeting, I said, it's definitely something I think you should come out and see.
Also back to what Mike said earlier, could we get like pictures of what's existing and what's proposed, just based on the windows being different, even though they're not going to be different, but on the drawings they are? It just makes it...
Well, the pictures are existing, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So I don't need a drawing of what is existing. I could just have existing pictures of what it would be or what is currently there, so we would know what we were changing.
Correct the drawings.
we're going to correct the drawing, but there's nothing changing on any of the windows except for that triple window
Okay.
that isn't historically significant.
But I think what Tomas and Tom, I don't want to speak for you, but I think having proposed and existing next to each other in the same format is exceptionally helpful.
That would be really helpful, but if Mike hadn't mentioned it, you would think that these two windows up here would be new windows, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, we're not changing any of that. Maybe he was trying to capture that, so this window is a little bit wider.
Yeah.
Than the existing one. I don't know why there's two there. I didn't even notice, but yeah.
I mean, he might have taken the liberty to think to himself, I mean, other than, because he has pictures, he comes out and takes pictures and everything, but he might have taken the liberty to say that that window at the top is not like all the others. All the other windows are single windows, and I don't know when that bigger window went in, but nonetheless, it's in there.
And the roof on the back of the proposed, would that be stepped down?
Yeah, it would be 6 inches lower than the ridge.
Your updated drawing should also reflect
Yes.
that, too.
Yeah, you know how I drew the line, because I saw that it's the same? But he knows that. I just said, we're going to have our first meeting, and then I'll have him redo whatever.
What's the pitch of the main volume?
The pitch of the main house?
Yeah, the original. Do you know?
I think it's a, you know what? I'm not exactly positive. It's pretty wide.
Yeah, it's not that tall, and that width is 29 feet or 30 feet.
Well, looking at the drawing on that Palladian window on the gable end, it looks like the corner board might be 90 degrees, in which case it's a 12 pitch, maybe it's a little less, 11 pitch?
Yeah, I don't think it's a 12 pitch, especially because when you're in there, the ceiling, that's why the ceiling's low.
Okay.
And it's wide from the side.
Between 10 and 11?
Probably. See how wide it looks? The building, even though we tried to make it look taller, and it definitely looks more in proportion since the flare has left, it's still not a very tall-looking colonial. From the front, it looks pretty stately. From the side, it still looks a little squatty.
All right, I think you should double-check your ridge heights here, because this drawing is looking more like a 10 or 11, and then when you look at that gable end, that could be closer to a 9.
Yeah, this,
Which would make sense about your ceiling height in that attic, and where, yes, and where you were saying your face would be in relation to that Palladian window.
which, if that lowers, then the back lowers.
Right.
Which
But I
makes
asked-
the back even
Wider.
wider
Yeah,
and flatter.
Flatter.
But I asked him, if I lower the ridge from where the drawing is, say I lowered 6 inches, do I still have enough height in the stairwell on the 3rd floor to get up there?
Well, but I think your starting point of the existing house may be a little off.
Oh, I see what
Right,
you're
so
saying,
if
yes.
that has to
Yes.
lower, that has to change, then the rear portion is probably going to change
Okay.
along with it.
Questions in the comments? I have a question. I'm thoroughly confused. Thoroughly. Is this what you want to build here?
It's not just me.
Is this what you want to build? Do you want to build this? Is this, or is the other one, this one what you want to build? I can't.
This is that, except this is 2 feet in,
Yeah.
because he can do that easily on his computer program.
2 feet in drop, is this 2 feet lower? Is that what you want to build? What do
No,
you- what do you-
that's 6 inches lower
Yeah.
than the ridge, and the 3 windows with the porch,
Yeah.
the addition itself is 15 feet instead of 17 feet.
So you want to build this line right here?
Yep.
Is that what you want to build, 6 inches lower?
Yep.
Okay. And what I'm looking at right here is 6 inches lower.
What you're looking at right here was the 3D rendering I brought last time, and I didn't have it redone because it's a ton of work for him to do.
So it's not 6 inches lower in that picture?
It's lower. That looks like more than 6 inches.
So this
to me.
picture's wrong.
What is the top picture exactly? Is that 6 inches or is that something else?
That's probably something else. The original,
Okay.
this was the proposed elevation look, and I didn't have it redone, but I thought it was helpful to bring it into you.
Okay.
Because you can see proposed versus actual easily with the color difference and the shingle difference. And you can see, the breakup of the back versus the front.
Okay.
In the drawings, on the drawings you have,
Yeah.
because they're all black and white, I think it's more difficult to see proposed versus actual.
So this is more about
It's a
proposed
concept.
versus actual.
Yes,
Try
it's a
not to
concept.
look at the
Right, it's close to
dimensions.
that, but that is what we're going with for the first meeting, and I brought this, maybe I shouldn't have brought this, but I brought this because I think this is helpful in concept. The breakup of the shingles, the porch, the windows, the 3 windows, the dormer of what we want to build.
All right, just to reiterate what Tomas and Justin said, it's really helpful to us to have an existing drawing and then have what you want to build with it, so we can just compare. So I'm kind of going like this right now. It's just really helpful for me to kind of visualize what you're trying to do.
Right, these little notes are really.
I see
Yeah.
the notes, but it just helps me, it just helps me kind of grasp what's going on here.
So you're saying you want me to have a drawing of the original house with no addition on it, and then one with the addition on it?
So we ask all our applicants to have existing conditions from all sides.
And the pictures aren't good enough?
It just drawings to show the difference between what's proposed and what's there. It just helps us visualize what we're looking for. I mean, I can show you applications, but it helps with the determination of how big this is going to be and what the impact is to the original house. That's all. That's all we ask for it.
That's fine. I think that if you take actual pictures of the elevations and then you have drawings, maybe I'm wrong, but I think that having the 3D drawing gives you a sense of concept of what it's going to look like. When I showed this to you last time, you said, that's way too big. It looks like a brand-new house, you said.
And I think to Hans's point, one of the reasons we asked for those existing condition drawings is to verify, because the photo looks very different from the drawings. And so the addition is based off the drawings that are not necessarily indicative of the existing conditions of the photos.
I will
It's
get the
packaging
drawings,
information.
I will get the drawings redrawn. But the drawings being redrawn is not indicative of the addition, the original meeting that we had last time where you said it's just too big, it looks like a brand-new house. I mean, that's different. That's a totally different problem. So are we saying redo the drawings so that we can discuss if it's too big, or you're saying you think that you understand that the sizing is okay, and that's what the client, actually, I don't think you can even say that until you have a site visit.
So I'm not an architect, but I think when you go into a project, one of the first things you do is you have existing conditions. Is that correct? You have drawings with existing conditions. And then from those existing conditions, you kind of visualize and you put in a plan together of how you want to build it out. I mean, that's how I understand the profession, and what we get. So it's just what I'm used to looking at in terms of the review process, to kind of see where we are right now, where we're going.
Well, when I do additions and renovations of houses
Yeah.
that are not in the historic district,
Yeah.
we pay for the drafter
Yeah.
and the structural engineer to come in and do existing conditions of the house.
Yeah.
All the rooms are measured, so forth and so on.
Exactly.
Okay? We don't draw the house that's already built. We draw the addition. That's what we always do. It's attached to the house, we have the height of the house, and so forth and so on. So, it's fine.
So
It's just,
no exterior drawings at all, just?
no, we do exterior drawings.
Okay.
But we don't do exterior drawings of the original house as existing, and then the house with the addition. We do the existing house with the addition, and to the point, the windows are wrong on that, so I'm getting the drawing corrected.
Okay.
But I have never had somebody come out and say, hey, draw the existing house, and that's one drawing, and then draw the existing house with the addition. This doesn't happen.
Okay.
I don't know, I find
Frankly,
this package
disagree
very
with that, but-
confusing to look at, and I've seen other packages that do have existing and proposed right next to each other.
Yeah,
Boy, it's
we can
not
do it.
confusing.
We can do it. We can definitely do it.
It would be helpful, Monica.
And I think not only the windows, but I think that roof line, I think is almost more,
I have that.
just as important, because I
Yeah.
think it will
Yep.
set everything else in motion.
The 6-inch drop off the ridge, I don't know if you've got any flexibility to take that down lower, but it would be great to do a study on that to see if that can work. I don't want you to cause the rear to be overly flat, but I think what's going on here is, I think, and I mentioned this earlier in our last informal discussion, was I think this house, wants an L off the back, it just wants something a little bit more narrow. So I think a site visit will help out with people's evaluation of this project.
The L off the back will be as visible from North Street as if it goes all the way across the back, and all the way across the back isn't visible from the other side. So if they needed to go across the back for space, what is the flexibility for that?
Let's go out there and check it out.
Okay.
Let's go look. Map out maybe with stakes where you want the rear to go, the rear addition, the corners that you have here off the rear, and I don't know, the porch. I don't think the porch is, maybe you can just, spray paint the part in the ground or something like that. You don't have to, but just, I think the stakes will help out. You guys want to see anything else when you go out there?
Are you looking at, the house has 2 chimneys now, right?
Yep.
Are you keeping both chimneys?
No. The rear chimney in the back on the brick that is not deemed historically significant, we would take it off.
Is there anything else that's being taken off the house?
The back rear brick wall.
Okay.
Yeah, all 3 other walls would stay the same, except that one window, I guess, the 3 windows across.
The irregular fenestration.
Yes, irregular fenestration. Yeah, I'm not clear on the difference. Is it just the pitch of the roof on the addition? Because that's the only thing that would visibly change if you made it, a narrower L versus going out further. Is that right?
Right, it's proportionally changing that, and I think what you might find is that when you get that roof line corrected on the main house, it may end up being even more flat than what you have now. So depending on how much you might be able to see from the public way, proportionally, it just may seem a little off.
Okay. Because I think that would be the only visual cue and you'll see it when you come out, but from the public way, that would be the only visual cue that it was narrower or wider would be that pitch, because you wouldn't actually see the back of the house to see how far across it went. But I get your point about, the pitch is going to change based on that.
Yep.
And we did look at the space, interior space, and had an L on one of our first ideas, but it just didn't allow them the staircase and the space that they needed on the second floor.
It would also look bigger from the street because it would go back farther to get.
Get the space to out the addition.
Anything else?
What if you were stepping the whole thing back? And instead of having the staircase where the staircase is, have the staircase even further back, but then you would be able to like step it in from the side. So instead of just having it stepped in 1 foot, you could step it in 3 feet. Have a,
There's a ledge outcropping in the back. I think we're going to run into ledge problems.
and you have a shed in the back too. You would be closing, or an outbuilding
There's a cottage in the back.
cottage in the back.
It's like a small cottage. It is, that was one of the questions, were we crowding the lot? Is it too close when you put the addition out? But that's why the plot plan and so forth shows that it's pretty far away. And it's a pretty big lot, so even though the addition on the 3D, I loved the idea of the 3D, but I think it's problematic. But I think that it makes it look, especially on the paper, and I didn't have it brought in on the paper, other than, I didn't have him bring the size in, I just had him do the drawing. But I think when you see the lot, there's a lot of space.
So I'm interested in what you were saying, trying to
He's saying
understand.
to mush this back so you can mush this over.
Not this over. Yeah, because we honestly, we tried to figure out any place we could put the stairs to make it work.
Here, and I don't know if that's even possible, but if you were to set it back like this instead. This is the house, right, that we currently have.
Yeah.
Instead of being all the way out here, could you step it back here and then maybe do a stairs back here or something? I mean, I know this, you have a dining room and you have a kitchen here, but if you didn't have the staircase here, could you?
Yeah, so there's a full basement underneath the house. And we're trying
Existing?
to get, yes. And we're currently,
Bulkhead.
that's called, here with the stairs down to it, so.
So you're trying to catch that bulkhead?
Yeah, we're trying to catch all the stairs all in one spot.
And we're trying to get to the third floor attic and have some usable space.
Okay.
I think it would have to be pretty tall, too, on the end for the staircase to get up to that roof on one side versus the middle. I mean,
I
I'm
was
open
just trying to sort of
I
step it
understand.
back and...
I understand. There's a ledge between the cottage and the house, so it kind of slopes down towards it, too, but... There's a lot of land on the side of the house, but,
Yeah, we don't want to, it could look like the place across the street, which is a huge house, and then like a foot step back, and then another huge house attached to it, which is not what we want to do. We like the front view of the home as it is. So we're trying to go off the back. I guess because we're on a corner, it's kind of hard to not be visible, but
We like off the back.
yeah.
but it's good, you're on a corner, but the other side you can't see, so it's only half of a corner, kind of thing.
Good. Any other comments, questions? Do we give you enough to go on?
When do you want to come?
Let's find a Saturday that works.
Okay, let me just give you a call and see what's convenient for everyone.
Okay.
So the next meeting is, they're not going to be on the 27th, right?
No.
Is that, so our next meeting is October...
16, what's the Thursday? I didn't bring my calendar.
That's okay. So we'll,
I think it is that.
so maybe it's like the first or second Saturday in October, something like that? Would that be, before the next meeting?
Saturday, we're out of town.
Oh, good, because I am too. The second Saturday.
Second Saturday works
Going
better?
to
or-
the Freiburg Fair.
Second Saturday works better for you, you think? Okay.
The 18th is our next meeting,
Okay.
Yeah,
And
second Saturday is the 13th.
and, I'm sorry?
Second Saturday is the 13th. which
Second
would be-
Saturday is the 13th, so, all right, we can shoot for that.
Okay.
So between now and then for the site visit, do you think it's safe for me to make the changes on the drawings? You know what I'm saying? Get it redrawn, because I won't
think-
make the meeting by the time the 13th, if the thing's on the 18th.
My personal opinion, I think you should, because
Yeah.
I think your design may change just make sure you're starting from the right spot.
Yep. Okay. Thank you.
Great.
Yep, thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks for coming in. Thanks for waiting. Sorry it had to be
I'm going to go get Mr. Fopiano.
That lot, I'm happy.
okay. We're trying. Thank you.
Are we doing 53?
Hey, how are you? Sorry for the,
I know, listen, I apologize, I don't know my calendar for next week, and I was actually in Boston at school with my sons.
Oh, gosh.
Apologize.
all right. Good to see you, Ed. How you doing?
I'm doing well, how you all doing?
All right.
Some new faces.
Some old faces.
Hi, Virginia.
Some faces getting older.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I see a little more gray, but I'm not one to talk.
Yeah.
No? So what can I say?
Well, we've got your plans. Thank you for submitting all this to us. If you want to just walk us through what the, give us a synopsis of what you'd like to do to the rear, to the side of the house, that'd be great.
So, would you like to start on the south elevation or the back, or how would you like to do it?
Why don't you start with the, you want to start with the side?
Yeah. So let me
Work your
just...
way back?
Let me just start it by saying there's a couple of things going on with the property, right? I don't know if you got a chance to go by or anything like that. There's the sunroom on the back, on the side, right, is, there's a porch underneath, very nice porch underneath, but there's no foundation underneath that porch. It's actually sinking badly in the back. Our proposal is to, leave the two-car like it is, put a nice walkway to the side, and mimic the front entryway. Make that a mudroom down the bottom. Okay, so when they come in, they can take their clothing off. And then push the back out 15 feet, which actually can really not be seen from the street. Depending on your view when you're walking down the street, you might be able to catch a corner. But, and move the kitchen, which is in the front of the house, to the back of the house. Okay? The master will then go over the, sorry, how are you? Good, how are you? Good. The master will then go over the kitchen, and inside, as you can see the plans, you have them all. Most of the inside will stay the same. We'll just refurb it, update it, keep them like it is. The windows, we want to take them out, refurbish them, put them back. Some of them are in pretty bad shape. Same with the shutters. We want to re-shingle the house. We have pictures. We took all the foliage off the front. There's really a lot of rot. And I was just talking to Sevi. I didn't even realize he lived right beside the house. He told me nothing's been done in there. He moved in the 70s. They didn't done anything in the house. So there are some things that we really have to work on. The roof needs to be done, and that's about it. Okay.
I was going to ask a question, and we've got two packages of drawings, the small one and sort of the larger one. Do you know if there's a difference between?
I think the small, isn't the small one just a...
The small one of them has existing conditions.
Yeah, the small one's the existing conditions, Michael.
Yeah.
That's what the
And then
existing...
there's some front, so the design itself is not different between this
No,
and
no.
this. It's just, there may be another drawing in here as opposed to
Yep.
that.
No, from the streetscape or from the hardscape, we're not changing it. What we want to do is just add that side entrance.
And how much of this can be seen from the public way?
Just the side entrance. And when you're coming down the street, if you really look, you'll be able to see the tip of the corner of the roof of the addition that's going to be in the yard. The side entrance, you're definitely going to be able to see.
And you mentioned sort of replacement of some of the materials, it's rotting, the shutters. Are you replacing the shutters? Because they're not drawn, you're just taking them off.
We'll refurb all this, anything that's bad on the shutters, we'll refurb, then we'll put them back.
So you are going to put the shutters back?
I really don't like shutters, personally. If the board wants the shutters, we'll put the shutters back.
I was just asking what your plan was.
Michael, I haven't really.
Okay.
If you look at A201, that's the front facade without the shutters on.
It also
Page
looks-
8 of 14,
Yeah.
on the big one.
Oh, on the big one. This is good. And it looks like you're replacing a bay window on the front?
Oh, so let's talk about the bay window. The bay window that's there is not original to the house. Andy, do you have that picture by any chance? Andrea has a picture of the original house, and there's a double window there also that matches the rest of the windows. They took it out and built the bay window. See it?
Yeah.
So we want to put it back the way it was. The bay window is, structurally, it's not the greatest. I think the gentleman was built it himself, so it's kind of...
Yeah.
It is. I didn't want to say that. I'll say it. Okay, thank you. So we want to put it back the way it was, you know, we want to make it all symmetric again. So the other thing is, that side of the house is actually some type of addition that they put on after. It is kind of funky inside, you know, but that has nothing to do with, you know, what we're talking about, but,
So Ed, you said the only thing that you can always see is to the right, the work you're going to do to the right. Everything on the rear, and I just, yeah, I don't think we can see much from the rear. So that rear elevation, all the work you're going to do there, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we're going to see any of that.
maybe just the corner of the roof, Mr. Chairman, and we're going to make it look just like the rest of the house.
But the roof is already there, that corner, right?
Yeah, yeah, the corner's there, but if, like I said, if you're, you know that, if you come down the hill, if you're walking, right, the hill pitch is there, right there.
Yeah.
If you stand in a certain spot, you can look, you can you may be able to see it. I don't know, because it's not there yet, but I looked at all angles, we took pictures.
Yep.
Sent the pictures, we're just trying to figure out if you could see it from there or not. And if you're going to be able to see it, it's just going to be able to be probably the tip of this roof, piece of this roof, just a piece of this roof.
I was there today and walked around and looked at it from the street. It's not going to be a lot you'll be able to see, if you can see anything at all.
We're keeping everything back there. We're going to put a stone patio back there, but on the other side, on the left-hand side, behind the dining room, there's going to be a door coming out of the kitchen into the patio, so that the yard is functional.
And the windows that you're proposing in the new addition, are those simulated divided light?
They will be. They'll match everything. They'll be Brasco.
And you mentioned potentially needing to repair some of the other existing windows?
When we take them out, we'll have them all refurbished. I'd really like to replace them all. but I'm not going to go there. I did that once, and, you know, but we could bring it up for discussion. I mean, we're going to insulate it, and we could put beautiful divided light windows in all of those spots that would match exactly historically correct. They'd be beautiful, energy efficient.
Why don't you try to refurbish it? If you're running any issues, come on back.
Okay.
How about
We'll do
that?
that. We'll do that.
I do think on here you mean to say true divided light, because if it is going to be a Brasco, and it's not, to my knowledge, they don't make a simulated divided.
So Brasco's products, the architect put Brasco, my preference will be on the back of the house, okay, to use Marvin.
Right.
Integrity's true divided light. That's what I'd like to,
So a simulated divided light, all wood window in the addition off the back? And like a Marvin Ultimate?
No, I'll use a Marvin Integrity.
An Integrity, so that's a clad unit.
It's a clad unit, you won't be able to see them.
Okay, so, but in the front, on this front elevation, where you're taking out that far left window, the box bay, that would
We'll
be...
use what we're going to do there, if I may, Ben, just jump in. I'm probably going to take a set of real windows out of the back of
Okay.
the house that are already there, a double set of those windows, the single pane with the, and we'll move them to the front.
So you have a set that is that size? in the back?
We have a set back there.
And so those would be a true divided light wood?
There'll be windows that are existing in the house, we'll just move them. And if I don't, on the other side of the garage that you can't see from the street, there's a double window there, just like on the side that you can see. We'll move them over. I want the house, the front of the house to look the same. I'm not going to put a simulated divided light in there with all the rest real wood. I mean, it's not, it's with storm windows on it. Because of the true divided light, I can't put a storm on it. I lose we lose the warranty, so I'm not going to do that.
And then, so again, from the front elevation where you have, you're converting the porch, those will also be a true divided light wood?
No, those would be, and if he says that, that's incorrect. Those where you cannot see, if you can see the windows on the porch side, yes. Anything that you can see, unless you'd allow me to do, not to, I'd put simulated divided light there. That would be my preference.
Simulated divided light all wood? Or again, you want to do a clad unit?
I want to do a cloud unit. I want to do a cloud unit.
I don't know of an occasion where the board has approved a clad unit that's visible from a
see.
public way.
And so if I could do a true divided light, then I would.
Well, again, you can do it, I mean, I can't speak for the board members, but in the past, we
I'm
have...
folding my hands, I'm just comfortable like this, I'm not.
We have approved a simulated divided light in all wood, and so that's a Marvin
Yeah,
Ultimate.
that's highest end window they make, yeah. We'll take a look at that, and I can just send Andrea a note on that, if that would be okay.
You know, what we can do is we could just call out, if you guys, think we can move forward tonight, we just call out the windows, and, if there's a change to that, he can get ahold of Andrea.
Yeah, I will do that.
I think going with a wood product and an STL is the way to go. Even though some of this stuff is not visible, I just think clad is detracting from this house.
That's right. Yeah, I don't want to put clad in the front. I'm not going to let any clad in the front of the house.
Are you talking in the back, too?
Yeah, I'm just like, this is a classic. This is just...
Mr. Chairman, if you want real wood windows, I'll put real wood windows in the back.
Yeah, do a nice STL back there.
I'll put a nice window back there.
Yeah.
I'll send Andrea the cut sheets.
Yeah.
Yes?
Sure.
Yeah, it's like you don't have clad on there now, right? Anyway, correct?
No.
Yeah, just...
Not that I can see. I mean, let me tell you, the stuff that's on is real old.
I can tell you're going to be doing this right, so...
Yeah, no, we'll do it right. Virginia, you keep looking at me. I know you got something to say. Let me have it. Let me have it.
Not yet, Mr. Fopiano.
I know that you will.
Oh, you got a good memory.
Of course I do. Listen.
Oh, my gosh.
No further questions.
Mike, what do you think? Anything else we need to, do we want to go out and see it? We okay? Yeah. You guys want to go see it? You okay?
I went out there today, and I think this is pretty straightforward.
Okay. We can call out a bunch of the windows specifically. I don't know, Mike, Ben, what do you?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't want to rush you. Virginia, I didn't want to skip you either.
That's okay.
Okay. All right.
All right. I'd like to make a motion to issue a certificate of appropriateness to 53 Fearing Road for the demolition of the rear porch and replacement with a rear addition based on drawings submitted dated August 29th and September 5th. Additional modifications to the front of the house will be replacement of a bay window to the left-hand side of the front of the house with existing windows restored from elsewhere on the house. Other windows, existing windows to be repaired as required. Windows in the new addition to be Marvin simulated divided light, all wood. All trim to be wood, details to match existing. Siding to be red cedar to match existing, and the roof to be asphalt. Are you replacing the roof on the entire house at the same time?
It needs it.
Yeah.
In fact, the roof's sagging in the back, so we'll probably have to do some work. Michael, just one question. What about the side entrance? Can we do that also?
You're talking about this side?
Yes.
Yeah, side entrance addition,
Approval.
part of the motion.
And that would be a wood unit SDLs.
Yep, all new windows to be wood simulated divided light.
Let's call out the plans too, the dates and,
Yep, I did, so that was
oh, sorry, good.
August 29th and September 5th.
And the numbers, get the number, okay.
Yeah. there's-
Perfect.
Okay.
Anything else?
I have one question. On the the two side entrances, are they going to have new doors?
They're going to be brand-new doors. They will be brand-new doors. We'll mimic the, even though this is, I just noticed this myself when I was just looking at it. This is 6 panes over the 2 bottom. I believe the front is 4 panes. The front door now is 4 panes, the original door. And we will match that front
Intended
door.
to be, to match the front
We will match the front door.
wood.
Yes, sir.
So, I'm sorry, what will the door be, Mr. Fopiano?
It'll match the front door. This one here has 6 panes. I believe the front door is more of like a craftsman door, so the window's pushed up higher. It's not full light like this, half light. And more, it's like a quarter light. I'll take it, you have a,
I'm sure. Yeah, but you can't tell
can't
from
see it,
this.
there's the trees there.
Yeah,
There's windows up the top.
yeah.
We'll match the door. We'll match the door. We can do it pretty, doors are, we can find it.
But we wouldn't want a craftsman door on this house.
No.
It's, okay.
It kind of looks like one,
All
that's
right.
all I said. I didn't say we're not going to put a
Okay, good,
craftsman
good,
door in
good.
the house. We'll put a beautiful door in the house that'll match the door.
Good. Anything else? Good point.
Second.
Second from Ben. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you very much.
It's great to see you.
Great.
Always a
Hey,
pleasure.
Thanks for all the work you did on this.
Listen, I appreciate you guys holding my place and seeing me tonight.
Hey, it was a pleasure working with you on this one.
It was very good. I learned my lesson as well.
No, seriously. Seriously. It's good. No, it's good.
No, listen to me. Listen to me.
No, it's good to see.
Andrew's been great with me on this.
It's good to see you again.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right.
Great.
Anything else we need to, any business?
I don't think so.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to conclude the Historic Districts Commission
Good night.
tonight.
Very much.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay.